As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you. All the excitement of the Hunger Games, minus the dead children. This is the Talkin Boxing with Billy C show. Talkin Boxing with Billy C.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talkin Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. And I want to welcome another new radio station we picked up, ESPN New Hampshire. So I want to give a shout out to all those people that are listening to us now on 1250 AM, ESPN New Hampshire. Glad you could be part of the family. Today's show is being brought to us by USANA. If you're looking for vitamins and vitamin supplements, check out USANA. All the information about USANA can be found on our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the USANA banner. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria on St. Simon's Island, Georgia. This guy's got the best pizza in the world. There's no question about it. But there's much, much more than that in that restaurant. You got to go there. Check it out. 912-268-2328 is the phone number. You call, order a pie, and you get a free you get a free cannoli. Tell him Billy C sent you, and you can check out the menu on his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. And speaking of Sal Rocky Cenicola, Sal Rocky Cenicola is joining us right now from St. Simon's. What's up, Sal?
Hey, Billy. Good afternoon. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. And I'm glad you could join us tonight. And I just wanted to publicly thank you for hosting our Billy C. Mayweather-Pacquiao Fight Night special at your restaurant in St. Simon's Island. We had a great time, didn't we?
We had a great time, and I'll tell you what, we had a great time. The only thing anticlimactic about the night was the fight, but I'll tell you what, we'll get into that. Well, it was a great gathering. We had a lot of your fans follow you down to the island, and a lot of great people. I was very impressed on the turnout, and as I said, it was just a magical evening. We had great celebrities there join us, and we had great food. The screen was perfect, that big 8-foot screen, and we pulled it off. It happened, and it was great.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for bringing your crew down and making it a great night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the food was great, and the people were great, and you know what, the fight was had everybody on the edge of the seat waiting for something to happen that never happened. But one of the things that you're kind of, I'm glad you have some time for us tonight, because after the fight, which we didn't know then, but after the fight, Manny Pacquiao, you know, and I hate when fighters say, I don't want to make excuses, but, and it's like, oh, God, here comes the excuse.
Right.
And
he
said,
I'm not hurt, but.
Right, I'm not hurt, but, you know, and that's what he said. He said that he had torn his shoulder, and as a matter of fact, he went under the knife and had shoulder surgery to repair the rotator cuff. And that's something that you've experienced. And he went on with the fight. Now, for everybody watching or listening that don't remember, Sal Cenicola had a great career several years ago. And his career ended not on his terms, and he made a comeback a couple of years ago, broke the Guinness Book of World Records after. Well, Sal knows the exact 25 days and how many 25 years.
I believe it was 25 years, 66 days, and 22 and a half hours.
There you go.
That's right.
And he's got the Guinness Book of Records to do that, and I was part of that. It was great, but what we didn't know. Well, actually, I did know, but Sal, you did the same thing that Manny did. You ripped your tore your rotator cuff, and you went on with the fight. Explain to us what was happening to you and what could have been happening to Manny Pacquiao that night with the damaged shoulder.
You know, it was quite an experience to go through and endure when it happened. Probably about 10 days to 2 weeks before the fight, I completely tore my right shoulder, my right rotator cuff, right in half, and I had an MRI done. Our local sports doc here was the guy. I was under his care, great guy, and he told me, he said, "Sal, you can't fight. Your shoulder, you're going to separate your shoulder. You can't throw any power. You can't throw a punch. It's completely ripped in half. The rotator cuff that goes horizontally across." And I said, "Doc, you don't understand. I have to fight." I got my professional boxing life back. I was 53 years of age at the time. I had passed every medical and every exam, and I said, I'm just going to learn how to adapt my style in 10 days where I could be effective and either beat them with one hand and slip the punches I need to do. But I worked on changing my style a little bit in the gym over the next week. And what I did notice was, although I couldn't open up and throw the right hand over the top or with much authority, I knew if I kept my shoulder and my hand inside, I could use my body and just use the hand, which it is as an extension with the arm from the shoulder. And at that point, it was firmly in place, and that's pretty much how I was able to get those short, chopping right hands and uppercuts in without any pain. And fortunately, I was able to beat my opponent that evening, and I did so without, you couldn't damage my shoulder anymore. It was completely ripped in half. But yeah, just leading up to that fight, though, you have the question. Wow, I'm going in there like a lame duck, and I got to do my best, and I'm going to fight to win. And so there is a little bit of apprehension on some level where you're going to say, wow, I'm not at my 100% best, but I'm going to do what I have to do to still fight and win and make sure that I do everything in my power to compensate where I can and not let my opponent know. Had I had the time, had it been for a world title fight, I might have done things a little differently. But for my comeback fight, I thought it was something I could just keep to myself and be able to pull it off. Unfortunately for me, I did, and that was it. But there was the same apprehension, the same questions, the same indecision, but that I'm sure Manny faced. However, I locked it in my mind that, hey, all I got to do is adapt and change my style a little bit, and I could just still be effective, and I could still win this fight. And as I said, fortunately for me, I did it, and it worked out in my favor.
With Manny, I can't believe that he had a torn rotator cuff before the fight. What I think happened, and we'll never know because after the fight he had it. And but I think what happened was that he injured his shoulder and it was strained. Is it possible to strain like a rotator cuff? Is it, and then by doing too much with it tears worse and worse? I mean, is that possible?
Oh, sure, anything is possible. I mean, I first injured my rotator cuff, like I said, about 10 days, 2 weeks before the fight, doing what I always professed I'd never do, run at night. I tripped over a tree root, I went down, I sprawled out my arm, and the next thing I knew, it was injured. And I did an MRI then, and it was a slight tear. It wasn't all the way torn. And I still trained, and I was okay. I just held back on my right. And then actually sparring the next day, I was sparring with Joseph, and he threw a pretty hard right hand. I blocked it with my right hand, but as I caught his right hand, my right shoulder hand extended back as I absorbed the power of his punch into my glove of my hand. and it was like a stretch of a strained rubber band. I felt it go back until it couldn't go back any further, and it actually snapped. I felt it snap right while I was sparring. And I knew at that time I had something very bad happen, and that's when I went to Dr. Morales, and we did the MRI, and that's exactly what it showed. A completely torn rotator cuff. So it's very possible it could have happened during the fight, and Manny would have just at that point say, "Hey, I hurt my shoulder." He wouldn't have known the severity of the tear. He would have just felt the pain and guessed that, hey, you know what, it's limiting me to extend my punches with the power I need. But he could have still adapted to do what he could do and get through the fight. And maybe that's what he did. I'm not sure.
You know,
we'll never know.
I think what happened, and if you watch the fight, I think what happened in this fight is that he could have strained his shoulder before the fight, and during the fight, especially in the first part of the fight, he was throwing punches, and he was throwing a lot of punches. I think he damaged it worse then, because towards the end of the fight, he wasn't throwing any punches, and especially the 12th round where, you could argue that the fight was close, or, or you could even, if somebody told him the truth and said you need a knockout, you would have expected him to come out and, whether they had to find his arm in the third row, he would have went all out, and he didn't, so either the pain was excruciating or what. But anyway, that's what it appears to me.
And that was it. I was less impressed with Pacquiao or with Mayweather than I was disappointed in Pacquiao. I mean, Mayweather came to the fight. He did exactly what I thought he would do. He fought a smart fight. He fought a defensive fight, and he fought a fight with his style that was going to yield him a victory and a win, and he did. Pacquiao, I didn't get the sense of urgency. I didn't get the sense of, wow, this is my moment to shine. This is what I have trained my whole life to face and to do. I didn't see any of that. In fact, I'll tell you something. I was talking to Rod, who you met, and we noticed, I think Pacquiao came into the ring. He didn't look like he warmed up quite a bit. He was dry, and I questioned that. But the bottom line is, during the whole course of the fight, I saw him in the early rounds, as you did. He threw a few more punches. He even had an opportunity. I think he caught Mayweather with one or two good shots. But he didn't have that sense of urgency to really just put them together and cut that ring off, stay in the pocket, and fire the guns the way he should have and could have, and unfortunately didn't do.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And, they're going to have a rematch, but I don't think we're going to see anything different. But anyway,
no.
Now, did you get a chance to see the follow-up fight this past weekend between Canelo Alvarez and James Kirkland? It was the anti-Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Did you get a chance to watch that one? I
did watch that one, and I'll tell you what. I was a big Canelo fan just when we first saw him fight Mayweather a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago. And in that fight, I thought he would bring the fight more to Mayweather. He did not. He was unable to do it. And let's give Floyd credit. I mean, I got to give Floyd all the credit where it's due. It. Floyd is a great defensive fighter. If Floyd doesn't want to stay in the pocket, he doesn't want to get hit, you're not going to reach him. And he did everything he could. He adapts his style, and he makes the fight happen to his favor. And that's why he wins. And that's why he's brilliant on that case. I'll tell you what. But what I saw with Alvarez versus Kirkland this past weekend, that was the Alvarez that I liked and I admire. He was fundamentally sound. His hands are up. He stays in the pocket. He fires his guns. He was very defensive. His hands were up at all times. And let's face it, Kirkland, he has a style of fighting where he's going to come into the fight and he's going to come forward. He's going to punch you. He's going to let those fists roll and let him loose. And he did. And it was an ebb and flow at times. But what I was more impressed with was how Canelo caught him with the uppercut. He just really picked some good shots. He kept using the uppercut effectively on the inside, or even when Kirkland was coming towards him. And then I'll tell you, the right hook was the one that just ended the fight, but the left hook was right behind it. I tell you, Alvarez fought a fundamentally sound fight. He did everything he had to do, and I was very impressed with his performance.
You know, you said something.
I thought Kirkland tried to make it a fight. He tried to stay in the pocket. In fact, he even had Canelo backing up, and Canelo pulled off the ropes a little bit, but he did effectively. He was smart. He picked his shots. He just didn't curl up, and he just didn't throw wild. He picked his shots, and he was very effective. I was very impressed with how Canelo fought the fight.
You know, you said something that was so true. You know, and this is the argument I have a lot. You know, in that fight, even though it appeared to be two rock'em sock'em guys going at it, you know, Canelo did display some defense because he was deflecting a lot of those shots. And you're right about his defensive stance was pretty much textbook, and he was moving his head a lot. He was moving his head. Now he fought Floyd Mayweather earlier in his career, and I think he learned a hell of a lot. Not that James Kirkland was bringing anything that Floyd brought, but I think that it helped Canelo improve, and that's my knock on some of these younger fighters of today, Sal. You know, they don't move up the ranks the way you had to back in the day, and the way a lot of other fighters have, where they're, you know, fighting progressively better opposition so that they get better. They're coddled and fed cupcake after cupcake after cupcake, and then they get on in these big high-profile fights and they look awful. Canelo's not doing that. You know, he is fighting the best that he can, and he seems to be getting better and better, and that's a breath of fresh air for the sport.
You know what, Billy, you are absolutely right, and it is refreshing. And what you just said, Canelo is improving with each fight. He's learning. He's going to school. He did after the Mayweather fight, and we saw that. And, you know, life is a good teacher, and the lessons you could pick up. Anytime I fought a fighter that maybe I wasn't quite as experienced and I was still able to pull out a win, or I learned from a loss, I just did what I just said. I learned from my experience, and I applied. If I was getting tagged with a taller fighter, a taller opponent from the outside, I learned how to move my head, I learned how to cut the ring off. I learned how to sit on my punches and deliver them to the body. I mean, you take each fight, and that's how you improve. You go do your homework, you go do your lessons, and that's, unfortunately, what you need as far as part of that team. The cornerman, the trainer, those are the fighters. Those are the people on your team that need to help point that out and make it happen. You got to be proactive today. You can't be reactive, otherwise you're going to be a punching bag. So I give my hats off to Canelo Alvarez. He did a great job, and he is going to school. He is learning, and he is honing in on his skills. And I think we're going to see him improve and become better and better as time goes on.
You know, Sal, I know you have a lot of passion for your restaurant. It shows when people go in there and eat, and I'm sure you've never had an unhappy customer in there. But I'll tell you, you definitely have a passion. I can hear it for the sport of boxing. And I know you and I, obviously we're friends outside of this show, but we've talked a lot about trying to get you back in, and I don't mean inside the ring. I mean it back in the sport.
I'm ready to make that comeback.
Yeah, I know. Stop. We're not letting you. We've already there's a big picture of you with a red X through it. I sent it to all the commissioners, so yeah, that's not happening. But we got to figure something out to get you back in the mix here, and so you're doing things on a regular basis, because you got to get back into it. Boxing needs someone like yourself. You know, you got to start watching it again and doing these types of things, even if it's a small scale. You have to do it, because what boxing misses today is people that have the passion for it. You know, I watch all these events, and there's boxing is we're lucky right now. There's a lot of boxing on television, but a lot of the commentators and the people that are delivering it to us are not boxing people. They look plastic. They fit the suit, so to speak. They're all the glamorous looking young people, and they don't know boxing. And I feel that this is a sport that needs knowledgeable people, like every other sport. You're not going to see a non-baseball guy calling baseball games. You're not going to see a non-football guy calling football games. But in boxing, that's exactly what we get. So we need you to get back in the mix somehow, my man.
Well, Billy, I'll tell you what. It would be a privilege and an honor. And you're right. The passion and the fire. I feel the fire in the belly, the fire in the heart. Boxing is, and I'm a boxing purist, and I just love how the fight and how the training and how the sport has evolved and then hasn't evolved. I mean, it's something that I am passionate about because it's the ultimate battle. It's the ultimate test of a warrior with the Marcus of Queensbury rules applied and the conditioning, the intensity, the fire. You know, when I fought my first 10-rounder, when we went to distance, you know, it took a lot to just stay in the fight for 10 rounds. And mentally and emotionally, you got to...
We're losing you, Sal. Can you hear me?
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, now I hear
better?
you. Yeah. You were fading out to nothing, man. So we got everybody. I just want to give you a shout out. We got everybody in the chat room right now talking pizza, and don't be surprised if you start getting some calls because you know we got a guy, my man Alex. He's got a pizza place in Connecticut that ships them all over, Smalls or whatever they. I don't know if he knows what they do. They vacuum seal them and overnight them, FedEx and stuff. So these guys are all, they're trying to tell me. We had one person in there say you can't mess up pizza, and I'm like, what are you kidding me? That's like, yeah, of course you can, man. I can't. Let me tell you, there's no good pizza where I am, and I'm in upstate New York. There's no good. There's one pizza place here that's okay. It's not even nowhere near what you guys have, and. All of that stuff. So don't be surprised. My man Chris, he was at our thing. He's in the chat room now. The kid that was at the event at your place, he's in there sticking up for you. So
good, nice guy, man.
Nice guy.
That.
Next time you throw him a cannoli, you know what I mean? I mean, throw it to him. Throw it. He'll catch it. You know.
Absolutely, I'll toss him a cannoli.
Yeah. Hey, Sal, we got to get you on more often, and just give me a call. In the morning or something. We'll schedule. Maybe we could do this as a regular thing. If you do your homework and you watch some of these fights, we'll get you on so you can give us your thoughts.
I will. I'm ready to hone in and develop another skill along the lines of boxing. So thank you for the opportunity, Billy. I want to say hello and thank everybody for listening to the program today. And I thank everybody. And I do love boxing. It is such a beautiful sport. And let me tell you, there should only be one champion per weight class. And they should go 15 rounds, but that's another opinion we can talk about another day.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something we should talk about, and hopefully we can do another event at Sal's Restaurant.
We will. We'll do that again. So thank you again for all the opportunity to come on and say hi to all your fans and everybody. It's a privilege for me, and I thank you so much.
All right, my man. Listen, I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Take care, buddy. Keep it going.
All right, take care. That's my man, Sal Rocky Cenicola, and he's calling us from St. Simon's Island, Georgia. You could check out his pizzeria restaurant online, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Give him a call, 912-268-2328, and tell him Billy C sent you. He told me that if you mention Billy C when you place an order, he'll throw you a cannoli, his shoulder still hurts a little, so don't make him throw it too far. But, Sal's got the passion. That's what we need in this sport, man. We need passion. I'm going to get him. He's going to be on the show. I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk him into it. If he can tear himself away from his busy day, because he works his ass off for his business, there's no question about it. If he could tear his ass away, we're going to get him on. We'll get him doing some stuff, because this is what I want. I want passionate guys. But anyway, I mean,